Hi, this is Teacher Terry. Got a couple of emails here, and I got some good questions from some of my followers. And I also was discussing this with some friends of mine. There's quite a few of us in my area that teach online, different companies. Some of us teach for the same companies, and we talk about things, of course. There's three things I'd like to address today, mainly. What to look for if there's a possible problem coming up. Okay, people always, because of this time, needing income and everything, and they're starting to say, whoa, what's happening? Okay. Well, let's look at the first three, and then if something else comes up at the end, we'll go there. But let's look at the first three. Number one, bookings. If you've been doing very well, and for example, 4 years ago at this one particular company, it was very small. It was a very nice little company. I was doing anywhere from 8 to 12 lessons a week. In fact, all of us in this area were, and making a great living off of it. It was really nice. Plus, we had our night work, and I've got videos on those. Most of my videos deal with nighttime companies. This video today is actually more or less designed for those of you working in a daytime company. If your bookings start falling off, then there's a reason to start looking. I used to make, like I said, 8 to 12 classes a day, every day. It was a very good income with me. I was one of the second hires when they rebranded the company. And today, I'm down to a lot less than sometimes 8 a week. Now, those are reasons to be concerned. However, we have to take that with a grain of salt because the economy, COVID-19 hit. You have, well, there's just a lot of factors that could do that. Exams, school exams, economy. But China's economy is coming up. The schools are open. Those jobs that were there are right back where they were. And companies are starting to get re-involved in it. The nighttime companies really took a big scam over the employees because these kids were locked in their houses. They'd already paid up their lessons. There was not a shortage of students, but yet the company started saying there was. They started over hiring like crazy because they thought, well, everybody's going to be staying at home. That's going to be a whole lot more business for us. Didn't work out that way. A lot of companies went under this during this pandemic. But let's get back to the main thing. Daytime schools, usually you got 30-minute classes. The schools are open about 8 hours a day in instructional time, and that means there's approximately, theoretically, 16 teaching slots per day. Now, when the company was small, we used to get a lot of classes and everybody was happy, but as of today, the classes are falling way lower than the daily rate for the week. So let's say yesterday I woke up, I had 15. Today I wake up, I have 8. There's an exam week. But I have yet to hit that 8 classes a day in over a year. Gives me reason number 2. Communication. Now when you start getting and asking questions, why is this happening? There's 2 things that can happen. Either the company can get defensive and they can start saying, oh, it's none of your business, oh, you're a troublemaker. They can start doing anything they want. They can kind of put a boot on you, or they can blacklist you. I had one of my favorite supervisors recently say, if you need to fill in somewhere, because some schools, maybe they blacklisted. Whoa, are you talking about blacklisted the company or blacklisting me? Because I've never heard it. You see, they'll have these little ways of manipulating things. I call it the Chinese way. So communication starts to slow down. There's 1 or 2 in this company that I talk to regularly. Started out, we used to chat on Skype. That stopped. We used to chat a lot on online. That really started slowing down over the years, and now it's very hard to get an answer. It's like they've been told no more communication with the employees. Okay, there's a good sign right there. Number 1, your bookings are falling, and number 2, communications are slowing down. 1 is a symptom, but it may not be a bad illness. Look for the second symptom, communication. Now we've got two symptoms that may be indicative of a certain kind of illness. Okay, what's the third one? The third one, overhire. Now, these are just observations. What are you looking for? Now, there's three observations that I always make and I recommend you look for. Number one, are you and your friends getting those bookings that you used to have? Are all of you hitting at least 6 to 8 classes per day? Question number one. The answer is no. Look at the next thing. Are they overhiring, hiring new people? If they are, there's a problem. Why are they hiring new people when you aren't getting the classes that you did have? Companies are going to tell you things like, oh, well, that teacher didn't like you. Oh, that teacher didn't think you were good enough. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And we know that a lot of that is just total bull, because most of the people who are hiring us aren't real teachers anyway. They're business people. And two, we know what we're doing if we're in the profession and have been there for a long time. Some of you haven't, some of you have, some of you know what I'm talking about. So, we're looking at these observations. They're overhiring when there's no need, and that means they're going to have to be giving them work, which means they're going to be taking work from other teachers, which means your income's going to fall. You've got to throw the carrot out there to the new horse, you know what I'm saying? The third one is, look at who they're hiring, and it'll show up. Now, in night times, it's very difficult because you don't have access to the employee data. Daytime companies that's using, especially a coursework that we use, we're required to use WeChat, we're required to use ClassIn. ClassIn has a built-in thing to where on the side you look and you see the classes, temporary classrooms opening up where they're adding these classes in, and then you see the teachers that are getting plugged into it. And you can also go over to your WeChat, hit your group, your company, and hit that little 3 dots over there, and it drops a list of all the people in there. Now, there's a few of the people in there that they haven't updated it, that have no longer worked for the company for various reasons, but you start to see the new people. So you start to know when you go from 24 employees, when I first started making good money, the number of schools haven't increased that much. And then you go to 70-something teachers, and your income drops way down to a sixth of what it was. Now you've got an observable problem. And now look at it. Are they hiring more women than men? Are they hiring younger over older? When you put into these working groups, are they putting the younger over the seniors? Are the newer ones having more problems in operating the programs, the software, than the older teachers? These are all very important to look at. Because number one, I do always keep in touch with many people. A lot of these younger ones come in here and they say, oh my God, I'm so much better than you. I've got the new technology. I've got the new this. I've been educated in this. And I've got, yeah, and you've got a TEFL degree and you've got a degree in animal husbandry. Well, hey, I can castrate a pig too, but that doesn't make me a farmer. What comes about is they become very competitive and they start doing the dog and pony show. And that brings us into that fourth observation. Are you being outshone? And by that, it's a generalization. An insecure teacher, one that lacks the knowledge, the experience base to be an educator, and those of you who are real educators know where I'm going with this. They overcompensate with jumping up and down, too much TPR, too much entertainment, you know. They might as well have the big band behind them, da-da-da-da, because they're entertaining the children, which causes a distraction, which fuels ADHD. The child cannot focus on that 22-second retention into short-term memory to carry it over into long-term memory. And this is what a lot of these companies are missing. They don't understand the learning process of the human mind. I do have a friend who can say something and automatically, oh, I know everything, by the kid up on the internet. Look, the internet says that. Well, the internet's a bunch of bull anyway, and half of it is just people talking that don't know what they're talking about or trying to make a name for themselves. And you have to consider the source. A lot of people don't do that, but hey, that's the way it is. Now, when you get these insecure, fun-loving people, as it were, suddenly those educators that's been there a long time that's got that down start look like they're boring. Teachers in China want to see the children laughing and having a good time. Education is dictated by the government, but if those students are laughing and having a good time, they don't necessarily have to be learning anything, because most online companies don't give an exam to find out how good their teachers are. That makes the older look bad, so you might start losing classes because they're being compared to these other teachers, and this school says, I want that one. Client's always right, customer's always right. That's what they're going to tell you. And when they do tell you stuff like that, well, then that tells you that you got a problem with administration, management, goals, visions, and outcomes. Okay. Then the young don't want to listen to anybody. Now, I've been a teacher for 40 years, and I can tell you, I can walk you through the teaching method, but the new kids don't want to hear it. The new teachers came out of school. The new teachers know everything. I did that too. When I came out of the university, I knew it all. I was a degreed licensed teacher. You know, the university didn't teach me anything. I learned how to teach when I got into that classroom. Unfortunately, online teaching doesn't afford these people that opportunity to go into that classroom. They might as well be tutoring one student in their house. And a baboon can do that if you train them correctly. No offense to those of you out there who took it, but that's the truth. So these are the things you need to look for. If you don't feel like you're being really secure, there could be a reason for that to happen in your head. Just like when you don't feel like you're totally 100% healthy. Focus on the first three. First three. Number one, bookings. Are your bookings okay, or are your bookings falling? Number two, is communications okay, or is communications starting to really slack off or becoming ambiguous, or you're not getting any response in the time that you want it? Are they overhiring? What are some of the observable things that you can see? What are those observable issues that make a big difference? If you're not seeing what you think you're seeing, then there's a chance. And one other thing, when your other peers, teachers you've been teaching with for a long time, are starting to have these same conversations, you may be starting to have an issue with your company. A lot of us working for this daytime company now, we don't even have contracts. I haven't had a contract in 2.5 years with this one company. So that's why I make videos. I'm real hesitant to go in and say too much, because they say, oh, well, we don't have a contract, goodbye. And it's my favorite company. I love this company more than any company I've ever worked for. I don't like the way I'm being treated by this company, and I'll put in my kudos right here. They got a really good niche market. They need some management adjustment. They need to get rid of some of these new hires. They need to have some real training for these new kids coming in and make them listen to the older teachers that made this company before they got here. Quit changing what works, add to a little bit, but don't make major changes. They need to have more input from those of us who've been doing it, just like you need to listen to the sergeant in the battlefield who's being shot at, has people killed all around him, instead of that lieutenant that just came out of West Point. He has no battlefield experience. He has no experience in the field, and he's given orders of life and death. New teachers coming in need to start listening to the old, but that's a generational issue. The new generation is doomed to failure as long as they think the old generation is obsolete. Companies, if you're neglecting those that's made your company strong, neglecting those that are making it happen, that make it work, that have supported you, in favor of hiring all these new people that don't even know the history of your company, you're doomed to failure. This is Teacher Terry. For those of you who's with me, I appreciate it. Thank you. You be sure to subscribe to some of my channels. See you in the classroom.